Hey guys, it's Crystal City Girl Homestead. Time for supper. Well, actually it's not, but we're going to do some prep for supper. How's that? Today's video is going to be a little bit different because I'm going to try to use up the rest of this bologna that I got a couple of weeks ago. So, the first thing I'm going to do is we're going to make some pickled bologna. So what I need to do is, and it depends on how many meals I get out of this, on how much this takes to do the bologna, the pickled bologna. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to chop this bologna into bigger chunks. This doesn't take long, so I figured I'd slip it in there, and it's a good way to get rid of the rest of the bologna and to make something truly, truly delicious. And you can make your chunks as big or as little as you want. Alright, and we're going to start filling that quart jar with chunks of bologna. Now, I heard that down south they don't have this a lot, so normally you'd use ring bologna, but a lot of places don't have that either. I've learned. Alright, so we're going to put a cup of water in there. And then we're going to fill the rest of it up with white vinegar. I suppose you could use apple cider too, but I'm using white. Now this takes 10 days before it's cured enough to eat. Well, you could eat it anytime, I guess, but to where it's actually got all the spices, you know, involved in it and everything. Then you just use pickling spice, whatever kind you want. Now, if you want it to be hot, you can put in red pepper flakes as well. And that will make it a spicy one. So I'm using a wide mouth quart jar. Then you just want to kind of shake those spices in throughout the whole thing. And then I usually mark a date at the top so that I know when my 10 days are up. So there we have pickled bologna. And then every once in a while just go through when you go in the refrigerator and just give it a good shake. Alright, that was pretty simple, huh? Now the next thing is for dinner tonight. I need a pound of finely diced, or a cup of finely diced bologna. You want these to be not so tiny you can't see them, but you don't want it to look like it's the only part of your meal, if that makes any sense. And if all you have is sliced bologna, that'll work too. You know, when we try to make our meals stretch, we do what we got to do to make it stretch, right? So it doesn't really matter what everybody else thinks. It's what you have and what you've got to use for your meal. But we want them pretty small diced. So that's why I say you could use the sliced as well. Well, my sliced is for sandwiches. That's how that works. Yeah, I figured I'd do all this prep up because I've got to get stuff prepped up for Tom's lunches tomorrow or next week. So while I'm doing that, might as well get dinner stuff done too. Because Tom's got to go over and work on that air conditioner today. So he'll be gone most of the day. He says he won't, but I've been with them long enough to know that that's usually not how that works, especially when it's supposed to be really easy. Tends to not be. So let's see if we got a cup of that. I'd say I was pretty close to guessing what it would be, huh? Not such a bad thing. So now I'm going to put that in a baggie for tonight for dinner. So you're already watching my dinner prep. Alrighty. Get it all out of there. And if you can, check and see if you're still subscribed. They're doing their thing again. I hate when they do that. So there is for tonight. Now the recipe that I was thinking about for Saturday calls for ½ pound. And I'd say that's probably close to ½ pound. So what we're going to do with that one is we're going to make bigger chunks. So see that little bit of bologna, well, it wasn't a little bit, but you know what I mean, has really grown into quite a few meals. And, you know, that's back when our ancestors, our grandparents, great-grandparents, they would buy things like bologna because it was so cheap. Like, a few years ago, I got it, that big one for 99 cents a pound. This one was $1.99. But, you know, honestly, you guys, what do you buy for $1.99 a pound now? You know? Not much. I wasn't sure if I'd have enough for that third meal, but, well, guess I do. So we're going to put this in a bag for Saturday. Our dinner video might be a little bit late on Saturday because we've got AJ's birthday party at 2. He's going to go do something with his friends at school. And then they're coming back. And it'll be for us grandparents. Because they figured we didn't want to see a bunch of kids jumping on trampolines. The grandparents. Which they're probably right. So I'm going to flip that over. And then remember I had an onion left. Part of an onion. And so we're going to dice that up too. And then I'll get to clean everything up and chop up cheese and stuff for Tom for next week. And then I'm out of the kitchen until dinner. That's it. Alright. And I'm going to dice these up a little bit smaller too. I wanted to go down to Bronson today, but I don't know. That might not happen. But we could always go down there tomorrow. They have quite a bit of different meat on sale this week. A lot of different kinds of bacon. But they have like a pork roast. They have a not roast, but loin thing. And then they have a turkey one too, which I've never bought one of those. So we're going to use that same bag and put all my onions in there. Nothing goes to waste, you guys. Nothing. Unless you absolutely don't have a choice. Alright. So, we've got pickled bologna. We've got bologna diced up for tonight. And bologna diced up for Saturday. I'll be back when we start supper. Alright, Now it's dinner time. I was hoping Tom would be here, but for the warranty on this thing, he needed to be on the phone for like almost 3 hours on hold. Now he has to go back out and check something, prove that it isn't that, so that they can issue a warranty on the board. So, we didn't make it to Bronson today, and I have to get my tire repaired tomorrow, so we won't make it to Bronson this week. Kind of bummed, but, you know, maybe there'll be a better sale next week. Alright, so I'm going to take that really diced up bologna. I have a little bit of oil in the pan, a little bit of olive oil. This recipe, I'm not following it. I'm going to do like you guys taught me how to make gravy. So that's what I'm going to do. Now, it doesn't call for onions, but I think a few onions in there would be delightful. New name, delightful. So in the pan over here, I have the last of my potatoes that are sprouting out. So there probably will be extras, but that's okay. I can chop them up and use them for something else, you know, for breakfast or whatever. But they're used up, and I've got my new bag of potatoes plus 2 bags of tiny ones. Over here, I've got a can of my home canned green beans with some butter and pepper in them. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get these onions caramelized and get some brown on my bologna. I told Tom, I said, well, we're going to have a bologna dinner tonight and one tomorrow, and all the bologna will be gone. He's like, that's good. Remember, he's not a big bologna fan, but he's liked everything I've made, so that's what's important. So I'm going to let that cook for a little bit, and then I'll be back and we'll get to the next step. Alrighty. So I've got it browned a little bit and the onions translucent. Courtney just sent me a picture. AJ got 100% on his spelling test. I am so proud of him. We've got a thing going on. You get 5, you know, 80 to 100%. He gets $1 each week. Then, because I've been trying to encourage him to spell, he'll get 20 bucks. But he's going to get a surprise tomorrow. I think Grandma will give him 5 because he did 100%. Now, I'm not following what this says because I like how you guys taught me how to make gravy, so that's how I'm going to do it. It does say a tablespoon of flour, but we're going to see, and it says to take out the bologna. I'm not going to do that. You guys never have me do that, so I'm not going to. So I'm going to see if that tablespoon will cover everything. I'm a little nervous over this, but you know what? It's okay. I think I want just a tad bit more, not much, but just a little bit. Because some of it isn't covered. But it works for my, you know, sausage gravy and all that other stuff, so we're going to stick with how you guys taught me to do it. So we're going to let that cook in there for just a minute. I stir my green beans and let that flour taste get out of there. Alright, now it says to use half a cup of water, half a cup of milk. I'm using all milk. And we're going to get that stirred in there. I'm thinking it needs just a little bit more milk. Hopefully. We'll do like another 1/4 cup. I'm doing all milk because the milk on here says it expires tomorrow, which I know that's not true, but, you know. And then it asks for a teaspoon of garlic powder. I think, honestly, that's a little bit too much. So I'm only going to do about a half a teaspoon of garlic powder. And then, of course, you know, we need to pepper that. We don't need salt because it's bologna. And we can add more milk if we need to. You know, like I've had to for the sausage gravy and everything else. It's no big deal. Alright, let me bring you down here for a minute. I think it looks good. Let me get it thickened up and I'll be back. Well, it's not the board. So I don't know what it is, but he's putting things back together and he's headed home. So there it is. Look at that. Those blackened pieces almost look like mushrooms. So let's take a small bite here and see what we think. And I'm just going to heat things up when he gets close. So I'll wait for him as long as it isn't too long because I'm getting hungry. All right. That is really good. Do not put the whole teaspoon of garlic in there. It'll be too much. That is really, really good. So I will be back when Tom gets here and let him taste it. Well, hi, Tom.
Hello.
Give her a try.
That's pretty good.
Even for it being bologna?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't follow the direction completely. I did it the way that everybody told me how to make gravy. That's how I did it.
I can see I'm full of bologna.
You're full of a lot of something. Alrighty, so we're going to let him eat. He hasn't had lunch or anything today, so we're going to let him eat. You guys have a blessed day. Be a blessing, and goodbye, Tom.
Goodbye, Tom.
You guys have a great night.